And so I've done a similar training to this in the past. I think the last time I did this training was maybe like 2 years ago, with how to move buyers forward faster. But I went through it today, just kind of revamped it so that it can apply to 2026 and be a lot more relevant today. And so I'm going to pull this up, kind of run through some of these slides. Can you guys all see my slides? Yep. Okay. Okay, perfect. So how to move buyers forward faster in 2026, the high-level strategies to build trust and help your buyers make a faster informed decision to buy a home, right? Because that's the key thing is we're meeting with a lot of buyers. We're getting the at-bats, right? If you're on Zillow, if you're meeting people from open houses and stuff like that, we are getting in front of buyers, right? But there's a big gap in some of our top performers who are, seems like they're constantly moving people forward, and some of our up-and-coming players that are maybe struggling to get people to move forward. So what I want you guys to focus on is what are some of the things that I'm already doing here, and what are some of the things that I need to add and implement into my business? Because if we all apply all of these things, and if our whole team is operating with a lot of the same fundamentals, we're not all doing it a different way, then we're going to be able to scale and have a lot more success, right? And I relate that to, I always talk about my son's, baseball, because I'm out there coaching him. But if all the players are doing things differently, we're not going to have that. We're not going to be in sync to win at a high level, right? And so when we're coaching stuff, we're not just coaching one individual player, hey, do it this way, and then telling another kid to swing the bat this way. We're telling all the kids to do the things the same way, right? And I relate that to our business. Because that's something that we can scale. If we're all doing the moves the same way, the strategy the same way, we can get constant feedback, we can refine it, we can tweak it, and together we're all rowing the boat sort of in the same direction, right? So that's kind of the basis behind that. All right, so let's talk about this. Okay, so 3 critical questions you have to ask yourself, right? Like if you want to thrive in 2026, I think this is spelled wrong, should say thrive. In 2026, you need to ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1 is, how are you positioned to move buyers forward in our current market where interest rates, have been a little bit higher? Buyers are more savvy nowadays, right? There's a lot of savvy buyers, especially in our local market. And then you also have like the uncertainties of the economy, right? When things are changing, you're seeing the headlines, there's all these things happening behind the scenes. And so how are you positioning yourself to move people forward consistently, right? The other question you got to ask yourself is, do you have a proven and duplicatable process to move your buyers forward fast, or are you just winging it, right? By a show of hands, raise your hand if like when you're out there meeting with buyers, you've got a process that you do the same process every single time over and over, and it's duplicatable. You know exactly what you're doing before the appointment, during the appointment, after the appointment. Raise your hand like if you got a duplicatable process down to a T. Mark raised his hand. So Mark, you're the only person on this call that has a duplicatable process that you follow. Blanca, do you have a duplicatable process you follow when you meet buyers? Like, do you follow the same process over and over?
Yes.
Okay. Raise your hand if you don't have a duplicatable process. Sometimes you're kind of winging it depending on the buyer, depending on the personality, depending on the pushback they give you. Raise your hand if sometimes you feel like you're winging it a little bit, right? Okay, great. Some people didn't raise their hand, so I'm not sure if they're winging it, if they're process or not. But a lot of people raise their hand stating that sometimes they are winging it, right? And it's good. I appreciate you guys being open and honest, because that's the only way we're going to get there, right? And so the goal is to try to bring everyone to a same process, right? Where we're all doing things similar with the fundamentals, right? So that's the critical question you got to ask yourself. Let me get back to my slides here. Okay, next one is, what does your appointment booking, showing, and comparison process look like, right? When you're booking an appointment, what are the steps you're doing when you're booking the appointment to make sure that it's the same process over and over? When you're showing a home, what's the process of showing a home, right? So that's the duplicatable process over and over. And then what does your comparison process look like as well? That's really important, because when you go out and show homes, a lot of times we're showing multiple homes. So what process are you using to get people to compare the home so that you can narrow it down to the one that they want to choose, right? And so this right here, guys, even though some of this doesn't sound like high level or it's rocket science, this is very, very important to moving people down the funnel, right? So if you're not having a duplicatable process and you're just winging it all the time, you're going to have holes in your system and holes in your business, right? So keep that stuff in mind. Okay, next slide here. Before the meeting mindset, right? What is your objective when meeting with a new buyer for the first time? Okay, so I have a question for, since Mark and Blanca raised their hand. Mark, when you're going to meet with the buyer for the first time, let's say you get a Zillow call, you're going out there for that first meeting, or maybe it was a referral, whatever, you meet them for the first time. What's your overall objective when you're meeting with them? Like from the big picture.
To build rapport and trust firstly, so that they want to continue to work with me past that showing, and then to get probably like a better understanding of what their search criteria looks like their must-haves, their timeline, and then their knowledge of the home buying process, and then to book the next thing, whether it's a consultation or another showing.
Excellent. Excellent. That's exactly what you should be doing. Blanca, is there anything else that Mark didn't say that maybe your objective on that first meeting is?
No, same. Pretty much is building the rapport, finding out their timeline, what their goals are, what's important to them. And then lastly is just showing them that I'm the agent they want to work with.
There you go. So that's the only thing I would have added to Mark's, is demonstrating your value so that they see that there's a reason to keep talking to you, right? And there's a strategy to do that consistently, right? So like Mark said, is you're building rapport and trust, right? You're figuring out what their timeline is, their criteria and all that, so that now you know the information so that you can make recommendations. And then you are also basically leaving an impression on them so they know what it's like to work with you and should they continue to work with you going forward, right? That's the mindset that we need to have. I'm not going out there just to open the door, right? I'm not going out there just to make friends, right? I'm going out there to do those things that we just outlined right there, right? And so I need everybody, when you go out and meet a buyer for the first time, you need to have that in your mind, that if I'm not checking off those 3 boxes, building rapport and trust, identifying what their timelines and motivations are and what their criteria is, and leaving a lasting impression on them so that they can see I'm the agent to work with. If you're not checking off those 3 boxes, you are going to lose buyers left and right, right? So it's important that you go out there with that attitude, that when I leave, they will at least know these 3 things happen, right? I checked those boxes. Okay. Next slide. Okay. Meet more buyers that close more. So here's the thing, right? I see agents make this mistake all the time, is they're trying to do things too easy and they're trying to avoid going out there and meeting the buyer sometimes, right? Where they're either asking too many questions, qualifying them, finding reasons to not go out there. But here's the thing, is when you get that first initial call, there's only so much you can do on a phone call. Like, none of us are that good where you can close someone on a first initial phone call and get them to say, hey, I trust this person. They've shown me value, right? I've checked the 3 boxes. None of us are that good. I'm not that good. Nobody is that good, right? The only way that you are going to move people forward is you need to get in front of them, right? And so if that means you need to like inconvenience yourself or get in the car or move things around or, you know, have that conversation with your loved ones, hey, it's my turn, my time to perform and I got to go out there. Your job is to get face to face with people. Because if you don't get face to face with people, you have less of a chance of checking those 3 boxes and less of a chance of moving them forward and forward faster, right? And so it's a numbers game, guys. The more people you get in front of, the more people you are going to be able to move forward, right? Because we already know that we're not for everyone. No one's converting at 100%. But the more people I get in front of, the more shots on goal that I have, the more goals that will go in, right? And so we got to get in front of people. And so I see some people like, hey, did you meet with them? Or we listen to some of these calls back and it's like, you did everything you could to not meet with them, right? And if that's a location problem, right? Where, hey, you know, it's in Hollister and yeah, I don't really feel like driving to Hollister because of traffic right now. If you know you're not going to service that client at a high level and you're not willing to go out there, then that's a conversation you need to have with us. So number one, we make sure you're not getting leads in that area. You'll probably get less leads because if you're starting to really like make it only convenient, you're going to get less shots on goal, right? I wouldn't advise that if you're brand new and you're still trying to build your business. I would reserve that for more people who are already established. But in the beginning, guys, you're going to be driving around a lot. And that's just the bottom line, right? Until you get to a point where you got so much business, then you can turn down business. But I don't think anyone's at that point at this moment. So you definitely got to get in front of people, right? Okay. Speed to appointment, guys. Sense of urgency, right? You must have a sense of urgency. So not only must you get in front of people, you got to get in front of them fast. Because remember, especially like with these Zillow clients or with the ones that are coming to open house, you're not the only agent they're talking to. They're also clicking on realtor.com. They're also clicking on Redfin. They're also going to another open house where there's another agent. If it's a referral, they probably know another agent as well. You know, there's a lot of agents out there, and especially in our market. So if you're not trying to get in front of them fast before the other agents get to them, you're going to lose battles right there as well. You're going to lose opportunity, because if they meet with someone before you because you don't accommodate them and that person makes a good lasting impression, your chances of moving them forward just went down, right? Have you guys ever called a client and maybe like things were going good with them, but you never met them, and then you talk to them and like, oh, we just met with another agent? Raise your hand if you've ever had someone meet with another agent before. I know I have, right? And if they feel good about that agent, they're probably going to hold off things with you until they see what pans out with this agent. So speed to appointment, guys, is crucial, right? If you get the lead today, you should be trying to book that appointment for today or tomorrow as much as you can, right? Because now we're closing the gap. Okay. Next one here, guys. Mastering the scripts. We got to master the scripts, right? How much time are you spending with script role play? Is script role play just a thing you've heard of, or are you actually role playing your scripts, right, on a daily basis until you get them to a point where you got them all down and you know them like the back of your hand? Like, let's give an example. If you meet a client from an open house, there's a certain script you got to use to get them like to segue from like, hey, I just met you to an open house, to now getting to like why they should book an appointment with you, right? It should be treated as a discovery type of role play where you're asking questions, you're trying to understand their needs, right? And then you're making a recommendation. If you're getting a Zillow lead, right, there's the ALM script. Do you know that script? And secondly, if you know it, are you following that script every single time, or are you only using ALM sometimes when you remember, right? But remember, there's a reason why Zillow came up with ALM, because they've done this on thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of calls, where they know that if you just focus on appointment, location, motivation, your chances of meeting them and getting that to move forward is a lot higher. But if you're going off script and you're like somewhere else on that initial Zillow call, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, right? And so if you don't know the scripts, guys, really well, this is something that you have to make time to master, right? You could join our Wednesday call, right, with Jason, where he is going over a lot of these scripts. You can join one of these Thursday trainings where Jason is going over those scripts. You can book a one-on-one with one of us, and we will go over the scripts with you. You can come to the office and maybe partner up with someone and say, hey, let's practice our script, you know, for appointment setting. Let's practice our script for showing a home. Let's practice our script for the buyer consultation. You can practice all of these scripts, right? And so if you don't know these scripts, guys, and you're not that confident when you're talking to people, it's probably because you're not practicing enough, right? This is on you guys.
Yeah, and just really quick, Enrique, I mean, you guys have to understand that, like, if you're competing against an agent like Enrique or Blanca, they know their script. So now if a client, if a buyer's meeting with Blanca and then meeting with, you know, let's say you, are you going to be able to out-script Blanca? Are you going to be able to compete with that? So I want you guys to understand, like Enrique said, these buyers are looking at other agents. So you have, when you get that opportunity, it is your time to shine. It's your time to impress them. It's your time to perform, right? So again, we can send you all these leads, but if you can't get the scripts down, then you're not going to perform, and you're going to say it's not working. But we need to work on your guys' skills. Right. And then I also have our Tuesday at 10 a.m. I'm in the office as well, guys. So if you want to work on scripts, Tom, Georgia, they've been in there with me on Tuesdays. They have scenarios that they run by me, and I run those scenarios with them.
Absolutely, guys. We're in a communication business, right? So you need to know how to communicate these things. And there is a learning curve, guys. Like if you're newer in the game, it's going to take you several months of consistent practice to get to a point where you feel confident and comfortable, right? Once you've been doing this for a few years, then it sort of becomes ingrained. It becomes muscle memory, and you're following, a lot of the same scripts each time. But for those of us that are still ramping up, guys, like that first, 6 months of ramping up, like you should be diving heavily into these scripts, right? And then you also got to stay sharp, right? The other thing too is that when you meet with more clients, it gives you a chance to also practice your scripts as well, right? So if you're turning down clients or you're turning down leads because they're too far away, you just missed an opportunity to go perform on a live client, right? And so I would say in the beginning, like grab as much as you can, do as much as you can, get to a point where you're confident, and then from there you can tweak and adjust, right? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay, excellent. Okay, 70% rule. So this is a stat, guys. I forgot where we got this from, but what the 70% rule means is that a buyer is 70% likely to transact with the first agent they meet face-to-face with. And there's an asterisk to this that I forgot to put in, if they had a good experience with that agent. So if they meet with an agent for the first time and that agent, showed them value, built some trust and rapport, got a good understanding of their criteria and stuff like that, showed them, what their value is, there's a 70% chance they're going to go with that agent. The reason why is because that agent already made that lasting impression, right? And so remember, buyers don't want to meet with a bunch of agents, right? Like who likes shopping around and talking to 20 different agents? Nobody likes doing that, right? It's inconvenient. There's not a lot of time. Once they meet someone and they feel comfortable, they're reluctant to go with somebody else, right? Unless they have a really bad experience and then now they're open to going and looking at somebody else, right? It's just human nature. And so you got to remember that if you can get in front of someone quick and you can make a lasting impression, there's a 70% chance that you already got that client in the bag, as long as you left a good impression on that first meeting. That's why it's important to get face-to-face fast, right? That's why it's important to master the scripts, right? And that's why it's important to have that sense of urgency to meet them right away, right? Because this is going to work in your favor. Okay, any questions so far, guys? Am I going fast enough? It's good? Okay.
It's good.
Okay. Stop overqualifying. We kind of already talked about this, right? I'm just going to reiterate it again, right? Get in front of people and qualify them in person. This is a risk you take, right? There is a risk, guys, that you go out there and you meet somebody and you drove 30 minutes or whatever, and you went through traffic. There is a risk that you meet them and they're not qualified. That's just part of the game, right? It's part of the game. I was talking to my son's coach yesterday, right? Because we had a tough game last night, and they put my son in at the last inning to try to pitch, and he didn't get a chance to warm up, anything like that. So he didn't do too well because it was like high pressure. It was like a really close game, and they're like, Miles, go in and pitch and like try to close it out. And I told him, like, man, like the kids were in a tough spot because they didn't get a chance to warm up. The game's about to end, and it's a 1-point game, right? And he's like, dude, that's baseball. He goes, sometimes it's just, in a perfect world, we want to have time to warm up, all that stuff. We want to be in there so that they're confident. He goes, but sometimes you're in these positions where you just got to throw them in there and the situation is not the best and you got to just do your best out there, right? He goes, obviously we would, he probably would have done better if he had a chance to warm up, right? And so I'm saying this, guys, because this is the risk you take as an agent. You're going to go out there and meet people, and then you're like, this is a waste of time, right? You're going to go out there and meet people, and they're not qualified. You're going to go out there and meet people, and maybe the price point is not the price point you thought you wanted, but that's the game that we're playing, guys. It's the numbers game. Blanca, what do you got?
No, yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Not only sometimes are they not qualified, or they're just wanting to look around for a year or 2 years down the line. But again, that goes back to the nurture game. Or a perfect example that happened to me. confirm the Hollister showing, confirm the morning of. I drive out there and I'm sitting and I'm sitting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and then they're not responding. That'll happen, guys. Sometimes they'll confirm, they'll say, yes, we'll meet you there. And then you're having to travel a little bit or go out there, and sometimes they don't show. But again, it's the game we're playing. It's our position, it's our duty. We did everything we needed to do to confirm, but it can happen.
Absolutely.
Let me just add something, Blanca and Enrique. I think it's really important, right? And Blanca's been doing this for over 20 years. Enrique and I both have as well. And I say that because you can't get jaded, right? Because it's part of the process. You got to go in there acting as if you are going to get a deal. It's a huge mindset, right? Not like, oh, here I go again. I got to go to Hollister. They're probably not going to show. They're probably not qualified. You can't, and it's tough, guys, but it's a true mindset. You're not there to show homes. You're there to perform. And the more you do that, the likelihood you're going to go ahead and have success. And again, Blanca's been doing it for 20 years. She still gets ghosted. People still hang up on her. People still give her the exact same rebuttals you guys get. Blanca gets the same ones. She don't get special ones. She gets the exact same ones. I'm not interested. Why are you calling me? Who are you? Stop calling me. So I want us to understand, don't get jaded to it. Take the mindset as, hey, look, I signed up to be this real estate agent, and I have to go out there and perform. Regardless if there's one person or there's 1,000 people, you're on stage, perform.
Yeah, absolutely. And the numbers are the numbers, guys, right? But they work in your favor the more at-bats you get, right? The more chances you go out there. We already know that if we book 10 appointments, you're probably going to meet with 5 of them, right? So if you didn't know that, guys, I want you to, to make sure you understand that if I book 10, I'm probably going to meet with 5 because 5 will cancel, reschedule, ghost me, right? I'll eventually meet with some of the other ones, but I probably will meet with 5 out of the 10 that I booked. Out of those 5 that I meet with, there's probably going to be like 2 of them that are really, really solid. And there's probably going to be 3 of them that are either nurtures or unqualified, right? And so if you're converting 20 to 30% of the appointments that you book, that's actually a really, really good conversion rate, right? And so just know that, right? Your job is to book as many because you already know the numbers are going to average out, right? But if you're never going out there, you're never getting in front of them, you're not letting the numbers work in your favor. Okay. Calendar invite, right? This sounds so simple, guys, but this is crucial, right? Every appointment that you book needs a calendar invite and a text message reminder. Why? Because this increases your show rate. So we got to control our controllables, right? In Follow Up Boss, when we book an appointment, we can book that appointment and we can also click the button that says text and remind, right? We can also send a text personally reminding them as well, the morning of, the day of. But if I book an appointment, I want to put all these things in place to try to increase the likelihood that they show up and that they don't forget. Because guess what? Just like we're human, your clients are human too. They got stuff that comes up. They had to work late. They got sick. Their kid, had to get picked up. There's different things. Their car broke down, right? And sometimes it's not because they don't want to meet with you. Sometimes it's because they forgot and then something else came in that was priority. And now you're ghosted and now you're in Hollister, Blanca, right? So what can we do to mitigate that? Is we make sure that we follow a proven process. Every single time I book an appointment, they get a calendar invite, they get a text message, and they click the button that says remind them with the text 1 or 2 hours before the meeting. And then if I want to go as far as sending another text to remind them or even giving them a call, right? Picking up the phone a couple hours before the meeting. Hey, John, just want to confirm we're going to be meeting at 2 o'clock. I'm going to be meeting you at this property. Right? You probably got a few emails. Sorry to bug you. I just want to make sure that you got them. Sometimes they, it can go to spam. But you did all these things. And then so the likelihood of client John meeting you now went up, right? And like we said, it's a numbers game. So the more clients you meet with, the more that you can move forward, right? So if you're not doing calendar invites for every single person, you're at a disadvantage right now, right? So make sure this is part of your regimen. Everybody gets a calendar invite. As simple as that sounds, guys, it's highly, highly effective and will compound over your business over the years.
Let me add just two real quick things, guys. One is that we currently do this right now with our business, meaning Enrique. When Enrique it sets up a hello day for me to meet with a new agent, we do exactly this. I even call them the day before. Okay, so it's the same thing with you guys. The other thing is, if they give you a rebuttal of why they can't show up, well, that gives you the opportunity to go ahead and handle that rebuttal or objection, right? So let's say they're going to give you a reason why they don't want to meet with you or they can't meet with you. Well, at least immediately you can see if you can remedy that.
Yeah, that's a great point you make, Jason. So let's say you book an appointment, you're supposed to meet someone, you're supposed to show a home, everything sounds good on that first call. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow at 2. And then all of a sudden they change their mind, or maybe they talk to somebody else or whatever. They got cold feet, or something came out in the news, or Donald Trump said some stupid stuff on TV, whatever, right? And now they're planning on not showing up. Wouldn't you at least want to know why they're not going to show up rather than them just ghosting you, right? So at least if you called them a couple hours before, instead of you getting ghosted, now you get to actually have that conversation of why they weren't going to show up. And then if you're good at the scripts, like we said, master the scripts, you can maybe turn that around, right? And now you get that appointment to meet with you instead of them ghosting you, right? So that's why you want to call a couple hours before to at least confirm the appointment. A really quick call, you lock it in, and if there's an issue, you address it and you keep the appointment moving along, right? But this is a very, very powerful thing to do. Sorry, on the last slide, right? Is that calendar invite and confirming the appointment, right? We want to make sure they're going to show up. Okay, the next one, right? This is where I get people, where people get scared. Accelerate the relationship with video, right? So here's what I want to say. When you have a cold lead means you don't have a pre-existing relationship with them. Your job is, like we said, is to build trust and rapport with them, right? Because the more that they get to know you, the more you're able to build trust, the more you're able to lock in that relationship. If the only time that they've ever encountered you was that initial Zillow call, they've only had one opportunity to see who you are, right? Or to not even see who you are, to hear who you are, right? Because we're just getting a random call on from the phone. And so remember, sometimes they think like you work at Zillow, or they think you're in like a call center, or they don't even know that you're an actual human being and you're a licensed realtor local here in their market, right? And so what video does, guys, if you send a video after every time you set an appointment, it allows them to get more chances to experience who you are. Because let's say you talk to them, you had a great conversation with them on the phone, and then you sent them a text message, and now they confirmed or thumbs up or hearted the text message. And then you send them a video, hey, it's me, Blanca, or hey, it's me, Enrique, right? Just wanted to put a quick face to the name. It was so good to connect with you. I'm really looking forward to meeting you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I have some cool properties that I selected also in case you have time to look at some more, but I'll be seeing you at 2 p.m. Now they get to see my face. So now it just went from a call only. They got the text, they got a video, right? And what happens is they've had 3 experiences now with me in that short amount of time. Now, here's the other one. Let's say the day of, when you're on the way to the appointment, this is a little hack, right? A little ninja tactic to get people to show up is about an hour before the appointment, you send them another video. Hey, what's up? It's Enrique. I just want to let you know I'm going to be on my way to the appointment pretty soon. I'm going to stop at Starbucks and grab a coffee. Just wanted to see if you wanted something from Starbucks. I'll pick you something up on the way over, right? What do you think that does, guys, when you do that? Someone unmute themselves. Why do you think that's a great tactic?
People love free things.
People love free things. Who said that? Melody? Okay, people love free things, right? What does it also do when you're sending them a video message?
Builds rapport.
Builds rapport, right? Now, if they were going to cancel on you or ghost you, do you think, what do you think is going to happen now during that, now that you said you're going to get them something from Starbucks?
I think that it creates kind of an obligation to show up now.
Boom, there you go, right? Or at least they're going to probably feel bad and say, hey, I was going to ghost them. Let me at least call them. They're trying to get me Starbucks, and at least tell them I can't show up, right? And so now you at least know, and now you get a chance to handle that call or that objection or that rebuttal, right? So it builds trust and rapport. It accelerates the relationship, right? Because remember, this is a stranger. We haven't met them yet. So we're using all these little ninja tactics to try to, by the time I meet them, they feel like they know me already, right? Or you send them a video that you've recorded, a buyer tip or whatever, right? Maybe it's something from social media that you already have on your social media and you send it to them. Hey, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Just really quick, here's a tip that I put out on social media the other day that I think is a really good tip, when we're going out there looking at homes, right? You're giving value. It's a helpful guide. Maybe you already record a pre-video where it's like 3 things to look at when you're looking at homes for the first time, right? And you use that on social media, but you also send that to every one of your clients before you go meet them for the first time to show a home. And now they're like, damn, like no other realtor has sent me a video, offered to buy me coffee, introduced themselves, right? Like all these different things. I got to meet with this person. I kind of feel like obligated. I kind of feel like I know them already, right? Just because they're doing all these things to really impress me, right? So versus the agent who just has the call, books the appointment, sends them a text, and then just hopes that they show up tomorrow at 3 in Palo Alto against traffic, right? Which one do you guys think is going to get people to show up more, guys? Is it just the, winging it kind of and just doing the bare minimum, or is it doing all of these other things to get them to show up, right? And we already know the answer is obvious, right? And so use this to your advantage. You can even have videos that you just pre-record that are just applied to everyone. Doesn't even have to say their name. But that is going to be really, really effective, guys. Okay. Do I have any questions, guys? Any questions right now? Okay. Prepping for the showing, guys. What's your mindset when prepping for the showing, right? How do you stand out from every other agent showing homes, right? Obviously, we've done a bunch of things to secure the appointment. We've sent video and stuff like that. But this is where I think you have the ability to either shine or to screw this up really badly, right? And Blanca, give me a quick breakdown, right? When you're prepping for a showing, what things are you taking with you? Just list them off really quick, right?
My bio, the showing evaluator, a little bit of information on our reviews, and then the buyer broker agreement if they haven't acknowledged it through Zillow. Oh, and then why that came about. I always bring the verbiage behind that because they're always going to ask, because now you're not only asking for them to sign to get entry to the home, but also talking about a commission.
Absolutely. And then what sort of prep are you doing about the property you're going to go show? What are you finding out before that?
Yeah. Why is the seller selling? Was it a rental, owner occupied? Skim through the disclosures if they're available, and then kind of did a quick market analysis, active, pending, and sold, and what's comparable to that property.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So think about it, guys. If you're just showing up to the showing with just your MLS printout, or Blanca's meeting that same client and she's prepared this whole packet with her bio, with the buyer broker agreement, with information about our reviews, with the whole printout of, the NAR stuff and why you have to sign a buyer broker agreement, comps on the neighborhood. She's already called the listing agent. She's already done some homework on the disclosures. She probably wrote down some notes, right? On her, she usually writes down notes on her printout from the MLS. She has one printout for her and one printout for the client, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine, guys, she's showing up and she's doing all of that stuff versus the agent who was just kind of showing up and just going off of their phone with the information for the home, right? It's night and day, right? So you got to think about, how are you standing out from other agents that are showing them homes, right?
Yeah.
You always want to think and have it in your mind, they're going to go look at homes with another agent. So how do I stand out from that other agent? I'm going to blow them away with my preparation, with my knowledge about the property, just my level of preparedness, right? Now, guys, remember, in order to do this, you can't wing it. You need to have all this stuff already printed out, right? That means you need to have your bio already printed out, have multiple copies of that already, buy one of those file folders, from Staples or whatever. Have a folder that has a bunch of your copies of your bios, the PRG folders in there, the NAR stuff, some blank buyer broker agreements, right? Blanca, you pulling that up. I know she probably has that back there. Your home showing evaluator, which we'll talk about that in a second. But look, she already has hers ready to go, guys, with multiple copies. And so that means she could book an appointment right now, and she can get ready real quick, and she could be out there within an hour or two and win that client over and really impress them with her level of preparedness, right?
I always have like 5. I think 5 is a good number. Just have 5 in there. If you're not in the office where you could print them, or if you don't have a printer at home, you already have some in your folder just ready to go. Or if you're out, and you get a Zillow lead and they want to meet you within the next 2 hours, you're ready to do that.
Yep, 100%, right? And so remember, if that requires you to come in the office early and do that, if that requires you to invest a couple hours on a Friday or a Saturday to have all your printouts ready for the following week, right? And make it a game. Like, I got 5 packets. I need to make sure these 5 packets get distributed to new clients that I'm getting in front of, right? If those packets are constantly getting distributed, that means you're doing something good. You're getting in front of people, right? So we got to have that standard for how we operate, guys. This is where you go from like amateur to now higher level, right? How you run your business and how the lasting impression you make on these clients every time you meet with them.
One last tip.
Yep.
Share something that's not accessible to them on the public remarks, on the public information, on the public remarks. Try to find out something that you give them that's of value that they weren't able to see themselves.
Yep. Why is that important, Blanca?
Because you want to show them that you're valuable. They need you. You know what you're talking about. You know the area. You did some digging around. And that just goes a long way of not only your knowledge, but also that they can trust you, that you're going to research these things for them.
Yep. If they could find the information, especially savvy buyers nowadays, right? They could chat GPT stuff. They can look stuff up on the internet. If they can find out everything that they need on the internet, then what do they need you for, right? And have that mindset. I need to give them information that they can't see. They can't see the private remarks. They don't have access to the disclosures, right? So those are things that I can leverage to my advantage, that, hey, these are things you won't see online. These are things Chat GPT is not going to tell you, right? Or this is intimate knowledge I have about this neighborhood, right? Okay.
Or just calling the listing agent. Just calling the listing agent and finding out some information that's not public.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Okay, mastering the showing process, guys. There's an art to showing homes like a pro. You cannot wing it, right? And so you have to have a consistent process that you follow when you show homes, right? From when you walk up to the opening line that you say, where you kind of like set the stage for what's going to happen in the showing, right? To how you already have the lights turned on, to how you already have the blinds open, to how you've already walked the property previously. And so you're going into that showing now prepared, the stage is set, you're already having that conversation at the front doorstep or in the front of the house or the driveway or whatever. But there's an art to showing homes like a pro, right? There's a 5-star experience that you could be giving. You're not just going to wing it, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that, right? So one of the keys to doing that, guys, is to not let, when I'm showing the home to the client, that shouldn't be the first time that I'm seeing that home, right? Because if I got there late and then the client hurries up and shows up, they're not going to want to wait outside for me to go look at the house and research it and turn the lights on. They want to hurry up and go in. It's probably hot outside. They just drove, whatever that might be. So that means you need to research the property ahead of time. You need to show up early, at least 15 to 20 minutes early. You need to walk the home beforehand, and you need to make some notes of things that you see in the property that you can now use to position yourself and to give value in that showing, right? Because let's say you walk the home and it smells like dog in there, or you notice there's a leak in the ceiling, or you notice there's a broken window or something like that. And you've already went in there, so now when they come in, you can now start pointing these things out, right? And when you're pointing those things out, you are demonstrating like, hey, I'm looking out for you guys. Hey, I'm prepared. Hey, this is what it's like to do business with me. You're never going to walk in blind. I'm always going to be, 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, so I can prepare you for this transaction, right? So do not let it be the first time. Those of you guys that tend to run late, I'm speaking to you, right? You can't wing it, guys. You gotta take that, be on time, right? If you know you're always late, or you know traffic is unpredictable sometimes, right? Map it out. Like if you got an appointment at 2 and it's 9 in the morning and you're looking at your day, map out on the map what's traffic like during this time. Google now, or Apple now lets you put like what time you want to arrive, and then it tells you what time you would have to leave during that time based off traffic, right? It's always better to be there a lot earlier because you utilize that time to gather ammo that you're going to use on that showing, right? That's how you show homes like a pro. Okay. Here's another one, guys. Showing's over, right? We close up, we come to the driveway, and we go, so what do you think? You shouldn't do that, guys, right? You could be asking those questions during like the showing, like, hey, what do you guys think about these countertops? What do you guys think about the style of the kitchen? But what you should be doing is during the showing, you should be concluding and gathering information and already knowing, is this a property that they're going to move forward on? Or do we now have to start positioning to go to another home or to the next step in the process or a consult or anything like that? So at the end, you should be taking the lead and advising them and making recommendations based off of how that showing went. It shouldn't be like, I have all the power. Here you go. Here's the power, right? What do you think? Oh, we don't like this one. We'll call you back, right? We'll call you if we see something. If you already know they don't like it, I would flat out say, hey guys, it looks like this property is not the one, right? Right? I can tell you guys want something that's a little more turnkey. It smells like dog in here. Like, let's just cut to the chase, right? I know of 2 other properties that I think you're really going to like that are going to match your guys' style. And so what I think we should do is let's just scratch this one off the list and let's go look at these other 2. Do you guys have a couple minutes now to go check them out? They're down the street, right? That's you taking the lead and being the professional and you reading the room and you now making the recommendation and you establishing your leadership and authority in this process, right? Blanca, what do you got?
You hit it on the button. Don't be afraid to express I just had this happen this past weekend. We were out touring homes with my clients and I know what they're looking for. And it was the second home we were touring and it was just so boxy. It was an open house to begin with. And the agent the whole vibe was wrong, but the home was boxy. One of the bedrooms downstairs was dark. There was no lighting in there. So by the time we got upstairs, I stood in the middle. There was a loft area. And I said, oh my God, guys, this is a no. This is a complete no. And they're like, yeah, you're right. This is a complete no. I'm like, we don't have to finish the tour. I said, it doesn't have what you're looking for. There's not even a decent dining area. The master room is super dark and it has high ceilings and you would have to do something drastic to get some natural lighting in there. I would say this is a no. And they were like, yeah, you're right. This is a complete no. The only area they liked was a loft upstairs. They're like, this is the only area where you like. I said, yeah, and you're not going to be up here all the time. So show yourself, show your value, take authority, remind them that you know what they're looking for. And, they appreciate that. They'll definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, no one wants to be convinced to like buy something that they don't want to buy, right? Your job is to show them I'm on your side and I'm helping you figure this out and I got your back. I'm gonna be looking out. Like when I know it's not good for you, I'm gonna let you know, right?
And instead of asking what do you think when you deep down know it's a no, that's like a stupid question to ask, honestly. Like don't say, hey, what do you think?
What if we don't know if they like it? I mean, and again, guys, I'm going to play the other side because this is something I would probably ask the client. Like, hey, what do you think? If I don't know, right? So, yeah. I mean, what's a better transition or what's a better talk track in that scenario, right? It's like we looked at the property. It's like I'm not 100% sure if they do like it. So, what would be a better transition or talk track instead of saying, "What do you think?"
Active listening. Yeah, I like that, Luis. Active listening, right? When you're in the property, you're listening to what they're saying, right? Like you can see when the wife goes, ooh, right? Or you can hear the husband like, oh yeah, this backyard, right? Or man cave, right? And so just point out the obvious, right? Hey guys, it seems like maybe you like this one and maybe you don't like it so much, right? So I'd rather, let's try to come to the conclusion, right? Are we on the same page that this is a contender, right? And I'm going to show you guys something in a second. One of the strategies that's going to help you get there, but it's going to be something along those lines. But you need to take the lead, and you need to show them like, hey, I'm here helping you make these decisions, right?
I like
Because
that.
now
Okay.
you become part of that process.
So
right.
basically, and again, I'm talking out loud with you guys, but just seeing something that they may like or may not like, and kind of bringing that up during that transition.
Yeah, elephant in the room. Like, bring that shit up, right? Like, if you already know, right? Like, you bring it up. And remember, if they don't like the property, this property is still what's called a trust building property, right? So that means we went out here, they didn't like the property, but we used that property to build trust with them and show them what it's like to work with me, because there's a 90% chance, guys, that they're not going to like the first home that they see. We already know. It's like we go show someone a home for the first time. It's a process of elimination. It's a process of figuring out what they want. Sometimes husband and wife are on different pages. And so use that home to show them what it's like to work with you, right? So you're using that to ask questions. You're using that to show your value, to show your authority. You're preparing to show like, hey, even though this wasn't the home, I did all this preparation. So like when we go look at other homes, this is what it's going to be like every time you work with me, right? Every time we tour together. So you're using that property to show them what it's like, right? To work with you. Because people are already deciding, can I see myself work with this person or not? They're already deciding that in that initial appointment, right? Okay, there's only two outcomes, right? Mark alluded to this in the beginning, right? After you show a home for the first time, there are only two outcomes. You're booking the next appointment right there on the spot. This is the mistake a lot of people make, where they kind of leave it open-ended. Hey, I'll follow up with you or anything like that. Or they let the client keep it open-ended. Hey, Enrique, thanks for showing us. We got to go right now, but yeah, we'll be in touch. Hell no, I'm not letting it go like that. I'm trying to book the next appointment, right? And if I've done all these other things, it should be obvious that we're booking the next appointment. So your only two outcomes should be either a consultation or to see more homes. Those are your only two outcomes, right? Consultation could be, hey, let's do a buyer consult, or hey, we like this home, we want to make an offer. Great, let's do a consult where we'll talk about the process, we'll talk about the property, or we'll get the lender on the line. Or, hey, it's obvious we don't like this home. This one does not fit our needs. I'm going to pull up a couple more properties now that I know what you like. And when do you guys have time to go look at homes again, right? I have tomorrow or the next day. Which one works for you? Because now you're moving them to the next step in the process. You're not just letting them go open-ended. Your job is to inch them forward until you identify the right property. And it's either consultation or see more homes. You should always be booking the next appointment right after that. This is how you move people forward, right?
This is huge, guys. This is where we call this like the second date, right?
Yep.
And if we look at our stats, this is where we fall off, right? I was talking with Matt yesterday. We don't want to be in the friend zone, guys. Remember, you got to have that confidence in setting that next appointment, right? And I love what Enrique said. Don't leave it up to them. Hey, I'll call you when I'm ready. No, you guys got to take the authority and you got to set that appointment. This is huge right here, guys.
And if they give you rebuttals, this is where you got to know the scripts, right? You got to demonstrate your value. Oh, well, we'll call you if we want to go look at some more homes. Hey guys, totally understand, but it sounds like you guys are looking for this, this, and that. I know of 2 other homes, right? Or I know of a few homes that are off market. I need to confirm with my partners, but I think these are good opportunities because it sounds like you want A, B, and C, right? So this is where you have to push and you have to go for that sale, right? You have to try a few times and really try to book that appointment. Now, if you try 3 or 4 times and they're just like a no, at least you went out and you try to move it forward, right? You might run into that. That's part of the process, right? But if you don't shoot your shot, you're never going to move people forward, right?
And don't have the fear that you don't have them something else to show, right? Don't have that fear. Just book it and you find something to show them. And if for some reason you don't, you can always reschedule, right?
Yep.
But always book it.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, buyer broker agreement, right? I know we're getting close to time, so I'm gonna blaze through these last few ones, but offer a test drive, right? Those of you guys that are getting buyer broker agreements, a lot of times we're getting that single property agreement for that one property. But now that you've had a chance to meet with these people and they've got to see your value, a great way is just to offer a test drive, right? A 30-day agreement. Hey guys, I really would love to work with you. Sounds like this is not the right one. Sounds like we want to find this. I have these other properties. What I would recommend is let's just do a 30-day test drive to work together. Kind of like when you go test drive a car before you buy it. I'd love to, show you more properties so you can see how I work. We can see if we're a good fit, and we can sign a 30-day agreement where we work together. You can cancel anytime if I'm not the right fit, but at least this will give me an opportunity to work for you, right? And pull up other properties that may fit your criteria and stuff like that, right? And you want to try to get them to sign a 30-day agreement either there or on the consultation or anything like that. But a 30-day agreement is a really not so invasive way to get people to commit to you for a little bit longer, right? Some clients will be hesitant to sign a 90-day agreement right off the bat. They'll want to test you out a little bit, and then now they know they like you, and now they're willing to sign a longer agreement. So use that 30-day agreement as a strategy, right? Okay. 3 strategies, guys, to move people faster, right? These are 3 strategies that we absolutely must do. Number 1 is the 1 to 7 showing system, right? The home showing evaluator. So some of you guys may have seen this. Some of you guys are using it. Some of you are not. I absolutely recommend you use this. I know Blanca uses this, and she gets buyers in contract all the time. Here it is here. But what this does, guys, the whole purpose of the home showing evaluator is so that we have a systematic process of getting people to pick the property that they want, right? It's a very simple doc, but it's really, really effective because what it does is it allows you to identify their must-haves. It allows you to talk it through when there's like a husband and wife there, right? Because sometimes they're on different pages. So you always want to have this document with you when you go show a home. And the way you want to position it is like, hey, guys, I operate a little bit differently maybe than other agents you may have worked with. One thing that's really effective so that we can help you identify the right property is we have a home showing evaluator. And what we want to do is I just want to understand really quickly, what are your top 5 must-haves that you guys absolutely need in a property, right? And now you're getting them to verbalize, hey, this is what I need. My budget, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the location, the condition, whatever. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing that with me, guys. So what this means is that if we find a property that hits all 5 of these and checks all the boxes, you guys would be ready at that point to discuss writing a winning offer. Am I correct? Right? And they're going to say yes 9 out of 10 times, right? Because it's an obvious question, right? And so what you're doing is you're getting commitment, verbal commitment that, hey, if you find me something that checks all of these boxes or at least hits most of them, then I want to move forward with writing an offer. So now it becomes systematic. Well, all I got to do is find you a property that meets these. And then now when I ask you to let's move forward to write an offer, well, you've already told me that if I find this, you're ready to go, right? And so it's an easy way of using a system to push people forward without them feeling like you're closing them or like you're selling them, right? You're showing them that this is a system we use to have more success with our buyers, right? And then what you do is while you're showing homes, you always use a score of 1 to 7, right? There's a reason we do 1 to 7, not 1 to 10, is to make it stand out and be different, right? You always, anytime you look at a home, you write the address and you want to score it 1 through 7 and you want to add some notes. And what you want to tell them when you're explaining this doc, hey, what we do is we give a 1 to 7 score. Anything that's 1, 2, 3, or 4, those we're not writing offers. We're scratching those off the list. That means it doesn't really hit your boxes. Anything that's a 5, 6, or a 7, that means these are now contenders. These check off a lot of boxes. Now, what I'll tell you, Mr. Client, a 7 basically means it's your dream home. You custom built that home. We're not really going to see a lot of 7s, to be honest, unless you're looking at new construction or custom homes. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll find 5s and 6s that meet most of your criteria and that it makes sense for us to try to write an offer. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm already setting the stage of like, this is how we're going to grade homes. We're not going to go off how we feel. We're going to go off, does it check the boxes and what's the score that we're giving it, right? It helps you take more control and take the emotion out of the process and have a system to move them forward. And I've used this, guys. I know Blanca uses it. Some of you guys use it, but I know for a fact everybody is not using this, right? And so this is where we're going to correct that today going forward is we are using this. Mark, do you use this?
I honestly I had to use it a lot in the beginning and I need to get back on track with it.
Okay. Blanca, you use this consistently?
I use it consistently, and if for any reason I don't have it, the printout that I give them, I have them do notes, and then at the end of the showing, we recap on their printout.
Okay. So it's some sort of version of it, right? And so here's the thing, right? Is that if we know it works, right? This process works, then just have the document with you, because now you're taking out the guesswork, right? Oh shoot, I forgot it, or oh shoot, right? Let's say for some reason you didn't have it. Well, now you at least know the format. You can easily write this on a sheet of paper. Top 5 must-haves, score it 1 through 7, write a note, explain the process, explain why we use that to select properties. I also tell people that, hey, when we start to look at a lot of properties, a lot of them start looking the same, right? And so this is a way that we can help you narrow it down and identify the property that fits your needs. Georgia, what do you got?
Do you fill this out or does the client?
I fill it out. Yeah, I have it right there, and I fill it out with them, and I show them. They see me writing it. I get clarification, right? I talk them through it. Oh, no, we need a 4-bedroom. Okay, let me cross that out, okay? And so you're trying to help them sort out their ideas and get it down to these are the top 5 things we need, right? Especially when you have husband and wife. That's like really, really important, because a lot of times they're not on the same page, right?
And this is big, guys, because it also protects your time, right? Because I mean, I've talked to Blanca with some of our agents where they're looking at property and they're not in the top 5, right? So it's like, why are we even looking at these properties? So that allows you to have that conversation. Hey, did your top 5 change? Right? Because it doesn't have this. It's on a busy street. You said that was a non-negotiable. So, or a lot of times when clients are taking you all over, from Hollister to all the way to Tracy, right? You got this, now you're driving all over the Bay. So now you want to really dial them down and say, hey, listen, where do you want to live at? What area you want to be at? What's a non-negotiable? Right. So this also protects you guys and allows you to have that conversation when they go outside of those parameters. You can say, hey, Enrique, that's not on our top 5, but did things change? Do I need to adjust this? And now you can have that conversation to do so.
Yeah. Matt, question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, I don't know if you guys remember, it was the team meeting I brought up. I had a client, they looked at like 50 or plus, homes over the past 6 months before we started working.
Yep.
And so I broke this out, and then I think we were like 30 days in working together, and they found a home they liked, and we started writing offers. So it does, in fact, work.
There you go, man. That's proof right there, right? Because we do not want you looking at 50 homes. We want you helping people eliminate homes off their list. We want you helping people narrow things down. And when they bring something up that's not on the top 5, this is where you get to question them now. Hey guys, did something change? You guys said single family. Now you want to look at a condo today. Are we adding condos in the mix now, right? If so, let's adjust the top 5 just so we're all on the same page. Last thing I want to do is waste your guys' time and show you properties that you guys aren't even looking at, right? So you kind of blame it on like, I don't want to, disservice you or waste your guys' time, right? Your time is precious. And then it helps you have that conversation and narrow it down, right? Because we're not showing 50 homes, guys. We're showing like maybe 5 or 10 tops, and we should be writing an offer, and if we do the job right, we don't have to show as many homes because we've eliminated homes for them when they start sending them to you, right? Okay. Let me go through these last couple slides.
I have one more question, Enrique.
Yep.
On those top 5, is it proper to ask for a price range?
Yeah, price range. Yep, you could do that too. Yeah, so top 5 could be their budget, right? It could be the bedrooms and baths. It could be the square footage, right? I'll show you right now. This next slide is an example, right? So once you get their top 5, then we use this confirmation email, right? And what this email does, it's in Follow Up Boss. So if you go in Follow Up Boss, right, you can go to send email, and you can go to templates, and you can go to top 5, and has a template, top 5 buyer must-haves, right? And so what you're doing is you're going over their must-haves, you're talking them through it, and then you're sending a confirmation like, hey guys, basically what you're doing is, hey, I want to make sure we're on the same page. You guys told me this is what you want. This is the top 5s. When we find a home that fits these, then we'll be ready to write an offer, right? And you're basically helping push them to the next step of the process of writing an offer, right? And so it really helps lead them down the line. The person we got this from, guys, is a top buyer agent on Daniel Beer's team. He sold 96 properties to buyers in 1 year, right? Just him, and he had an assistant. He had a
In
showing
California,
assistant
in San Diego.
in San Diego, in a tough market, in California, right? Like similar market, stuff like that. He uses this religiously on every single client. This is who we got this from. I'm like, well, if that guy's selling 96 homes a year, shouldn't I take what he's doing and implement that in our business, right? He uses the evaluator and he uses the top 5 email, right? And he's like, dude, I don't show 20, 30 homes. He goes, I'm showing like usually less than 10, and we're writing an offer and we're getting them in contract, right? And so you always want to send this email and get confirmation from them. And then you're also asking them, hey, if something's changed, then let me know, and then we'll update this. So now when we go look at homes, we're only looking at homes that meet this criteria. This is where you're able to now eliminate properties where clients will send you a property and you're like, dude, this is not even in your criteria. This is like a 2 million and you're only approved for 1.5, right? Now you get to question them. Hey guys, did you guys come up with an extra 500,000 that I didn't know about? Right? Oh no, but it looked nice. We just want to take a look. We want to see if they'll take a lowball offer, whatever. This is where you're shutting that down. We're not even going to go look at that property, right? This is what it allows you to do. Okay. Couple more minutes, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging on. We're almost done. We got like 2 more slides. Okay. Another strategy, guys, is getting involved, right? This is strategy number 3, getting involved with the lender early. This is something that I added to this slide that I didn't have before. But I'm realizing that this is very, very powerful. When you start getting involved with the lender and the client early on in the process, it helps make you part of the whole team of getting them to move forward, right? And so you want to get on a 3-way call with the lender as early as you can. So let's say you meet a client, they already have a lender. Great, who's your lender? Let's jump on a call with them so we can kind of go over, what's going on in our market. I can introduce myself, and then we can see how we can help you figure this out, right? You get on a call with them. Now you became part of that process. Now it becomes a group effort because now the lender knows, hey, you're the agent that they're working with. And now the lender is helping you move that client forward as well. If they don't have a lender, then you're getting the lender on the line as well, right? You're getting our Zillow Home Loans lender, or you're getting our in-house alliance lender, but you're getting someone involved early on. And what I've seen other teams doing is they're even getting the lender on the phone at the initial showing, right? So at the end of the showing, hey, let me get my lender on the line if they don't have one, or hey, let's call your lender that you're already working with. Let me just introduce myself because it sounds like maybe this home you might like, or there's some other homes we're going to look at that you might like. This way we can have the best strategy, right? Shital.
When you said we can call a lender, if it's a Zillow lender, do we have the phone number to connect right after the showing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. You can even message them beforehand, send them a message. Hey, Ben, I'm going to be showing this home later on today, like at 4. Will you be around to jump on a quick call, so I could introduce you to them? Right? So give them a heads up, right? Because if let's say he doesn't have a heads up and you call right there, he might be in an appointment or something, right? Or whoever the lender is, Steve, David, Jason, doesn't matter, but get that lender on the call early. And so now you guys, the buyer sees like, oh shoot, I got my team already, right? This is my team that I'm working with, right? Helps them move forward. Okay. 2 more slides, guys. Are they learning? As you're working with these buyers, right? Are they learning? After each showing and offer, are your buyers learning, adjusting, and they're understanding the market, right? If they are not understanding, like if the buyer keeps wanting the low ball on properties every single time, that is not their problem. That is your problem. It's your problem that you're not guiding them the right way. And it's your problem that you're not sitting down with them and saying, hey guys, this strategy doesn't work, right? Maybe we tried it on the first one so that they can learn. But if we're going and doing the same thing again, that means you're not doing your job of leading them the right way. So you always need to make sure your buyers are learning after every showing and after every offer you write, and they're adjusting and they're understanding the market. If they're not willing to learn or adjust, you may have to cut them off, right? Or you have a hard conversation with them. Or let's say they just lost out on an offer. You wrote an offer, they lost out, it didn't work. Always book a strategy overview right after you lose an offer. Because sometimes you'll lose people, right? They get demotivated, they lose an offer, and now they want to put things on hold. When it really might have just been the strategy that we have to tweak, and we want to keep the momentum going. So if I submitted an offer, we got beat out. Hey guys, I got some news from the agent. Let's jump on a quick call because I want to go over it with you. And let's also talk about our strategy, right? You'll deliver the news, but then you also talk about what's the strategy going forward, right? It's like we're a team here. This is the game plan. I know we lost this one, but there's other properties that I'm going to show you. Now we have some knowledge. Now we have some strategy that we got to adjust. Now we're not going to make the same mistake. Now we're going to move quicker. You're going to be pre-approved faster, blah, blah, blah. And now you're moving them forward to the next step in the process, right? Constantly build trust with them. Constantly remind them why we do things. That's the other thing too. When you're doing these home showing evaluators, when you're doing the top 5 must-haves, when you're doing the strategy call, when you're using the 1 through 7, always remind them, this is why we do this, guys. Remember I introduced this the first showing. This is why we do this. This is why we do this, right? Because now you're teaching them like this is how we're going to operate and move forward, right? Making them smarter in the process. Last but not least, guys, it takes all of this, right? I love this slide because it summarizes everything. If you only do one of these things, it doesn't work, right? We went through a lot. If you only do one of them, it doesn't work. It's when you're doing all of these things together, you're implementing all the strategies together. That's how you see a big change in your business, right? That's how you start converting more people, because it now becomes the standard for how you operate. It becomes a standard for how you work with buyers and how you move people forward, and it compounds and it stacks up, guys. I know I went over time, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out. This was a lot. There was a role play I wanted to do, but we're not going to have time. We can do that on the next session, or we can do that during our Tuesday meeting. But really quick, are there any questions you guys have? Or actually, let me do this. What's the number one thing that stood out to you? Right? I know there's a lot, but what's the one thing that you know you need to start implementing now after watching the session? Do me a favor and go in the chat and just write it in the chat. What's the one takeaway where you're like, all those were good. I'm doing some of those. I'm doing a lot of those, but this one thing, I know I need to start adding this because that's really going to move it forward for me. Yep. Richa said, follow the steps every time. Absolutely. Don't skip steps just because it's a friend or a family or whatever. We don't skip the steps, right? I had my system in place and started with winging it. Not anymore. Love it. Use the home show and evaluator paper instead of it being just a conversation. Yep. Absolutely, Mark. The visual does something else. Send video. Create obligations to show up. Yes. Hey, do you want a coffee? I'm picking up coffee. Everything. Top 5. Know your client's desires. Yep. Now you can use that. Top 5 is the most that I like. Absolutely. Send videos. Absolutely. Blanca, you're doing probably all of these, but I know for a fact you're not sending videos on every single one, right? If that moved your business forward 5% more, that's going to turn into so much more commissions, right? So much more closings and satisfied clients. Yep. All right. I need an answer from everybody. What's the one thing that stood out? And then we're done. Connect with the Zillow lender beforehand. Yep. Have your lender ready to jump on that call. Who else? Rob, Brendan, Tom. What's the one thing that stood out for you? Jason, what's the one thing that stood out for you that you can probably add to other parts of your business, not just buyers?
What I like what you did was just letting them know that it's a strategy. This is our strategy, right? And not making them feel like you're closing them, right? No, this is the strategy and how we move forward.
Yeah.
Right. So I like just the way you position that. That's something that I definitely. I was just on a call yesterday with a buyer. I was getting pre-approved, but I like that. I have my strategy, my way of doing it, but just making them understand that this is how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Auto text reminder for appointment, absolute must. Sending videos prior, after, video call, show a real face early. Yeah, video would be great to use. Awesome, guys. I'm glad you guys took some from this. I'm going to share these slides in Slack because I know it's a lot of stuff, right? So I'll share the slides in Slack. I'll share a link to the evaluator as well, if you guys don't have that. And then in FUB, the top 5 must-haves, it's already in your email templates, right? So I'll put this in Slack in a second. Practice this stuff, guys. Use it. Ask questions. It's going to take time for you to implement all this. That's the other expectation too, right? It's just setting the right expectations. But if you have a showing today or tomorrow, start using those tools. If you're not using the home showing evaluator, that's probably the #1 thing you got to use, that home showing, because it kind of covers must-haves and it helps them qualify the properties. It's like everything in one. That and video, I think those two are like really, really powerful. Just adding video to your process and using that evaluator, it'll move people forward. You'll close more deals and your business will grow, guys. All right, that's all I got for you. Let's clap it up. Let's make some noise. Thank you, guys. Let me know if you need something.
Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique.
Good stuff, Enrique. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you very